I'm Holly.
I'm Leslie.
And we would be dead. Hey, Leslie.
Hey, Holly.
Hey, Fiends. Well, we are back with another case that comes right from our own backyards.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you know how we love things that are super close to our houses.
Love it.
Especially like mysterious, unexplained things.
Nope.
Yeah. Great. So good. This is actually our second most requested case of all time.
Is it really?
Yes. We have a lot of requests for this one. And this year, we are really trying to give the people what they want.
Okay.
I think we're doing a decent job so far.
I thought we were going to give the people what we wanted.
We were supposed to. I'm so bad at that. I'm really bad at that. Next week, I'm doing something that I like, and it's going to be weird and old-timey. How about that?
Done.
I said it, so I have to do it.
You have to do it now.
Perfect.
Well, although we said it, which means it won't happen.
No, it's going to happen. Because you're right. I did say that. I did say I was going to do more of the weird things that we like to talk about. Anyway, this week we are covering the tragic and mysterious death of Mays Landing, New Jersey teenager Tiffany Valiante. Oh boy, this one brought me into some weird places.
Yeah.
The medical examiner's records are all from our local hospital.
Which is so wild.
Yep. It's good to see autopsy reports from Shore Memorial, where we both delivered our babies.
Yeah. Not me.
Oh, you didn't deliver at Shore?
Mm-mm.
Are you at Cape?
No, Atlantic.
Oh, I thought you were at Shore for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I delivered both my children at Shore. So good for me.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the behavioral health records are all from the behavioral health practice with Atlanticare, which is what I currently see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yep. So that's fun. Tiffany's town and the place where she tragically lost her life are less than a half an hour from where we are sitting right now.
Yeah.
I did drive out there a little bit.
Okay.
I did. I didn't admittedly go to like the train tracks or anything like that because I was a little like, I don't feel like that's great. But I did drive around out there a little bit, just so you know.
You should have taken me. We could have gone to the mall after.
We could have gone to Bob's and gotten some plants. A lot of the discourse surrounding this case deals with the shortcomings of these institutions that we have just talked about and several others. And I have a lot to say about them. I think we both have a lot of experience with the healthcare system they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to some extent, the police. I don't have any experience with the New Jersey Transit Police, but like, I know what kind of resources some local police down here have. It's not as much as like others do.
Sure.
That's not their fault. That's just what they're given. But we do have some unique insight into those things, I think at least. And I wish I could say the hospital shortcomings the hospital stuff was flattering. I just said they were shortcomings or that I was shocked at any of them, but I am not.
No.
It is a hot topic down here, the hospitals.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
They're
coming around.
They are, though. You're right.
But
they
in
are.
2015, I don't know.
I know.
They're
I had already had both my kids
That's true.
at this hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, man. There's something extra unsettling about reading through documents that have come from a morgue 17 minutes away by car. I know this because I go to a very nearby Target a lot. Not the morgue. Target. Still, though, covering anything local is always going to leave me a little haunted afterwards.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel like I look pale. To you.
I was going to say.
Like my eyes are pretty puffy today.
Yeah.
Like just not a good scene.
Well,
not my best.
Not in this day and age, but 100, 200 years ago, you'd be beautiful.
I'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
That's why I have to cover weird cases. So all my points of reference make me feel
That's
pretty.
True. Next time we do an old-timey case, you'll be like, I am so tan. I look terrible.
Phenomenal. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I've been out in the sun like a peasant.
Yeah. I'm hydrated. It's awful.
I just can't win. Well, I've tried to bring a little color back into my cheeks this week, but nothing seemed to work. I guess I could go back to like not worrying about everything or sleeping and drinking water, but that sounds like a lot of effort. And I would rather a quick fix.
Okay.
We love a quick fix, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to try some sort of, I don't know, super secret special ingredient that I've maybe heard whispers about as of late.
Ooh.
I've heard that all I need to completely revive my appearance are a few precious drops of...
A little stick blush.
No!
No?
No, try again.
Okay. Maybe a little bit of validation. A hill worth dying on.
You got it wrong first, so you had to go really hard. Oh, man.
Well, is that right?
Yes, that's
Okay.
right. That's great.
How can we get it?
And best of all, our friends can give it to us totally free of charge.
Shut up. How?
But how, you must be asking yourself? Well, I will tell you. Simply head on over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating and or a friendly review. It really is the only way to move this podcast forward. Ratings and reviews equal attention, attention equals support, and support equals more and better content for all of you.
How nice.
I know. But if you just can't wait for more We Would Be Dead in your life, don't worry, you don't have to.
Yes.
You can support us over on Patreon.
Patreon.
So much soul in Patreon today. There, for just a few dollars a month, you will gain access to our entire catalog of 30-minute horror movies, special minisodes, our weekly after-show Host Mortem, which is available in both video and audio formats. Maybe you want to see our faces, maybe you don't. Both are okay. You'll also get a special gift in the mail from us, giveaways, merch deals, and on-air toast dedicated just to you and more.
Wow.
Yes. I would love to do some more discussion with our patrons,
Yes.
like we did in the past.
Yeah.
Maybe a slightly different forum, but there's a few cases that there are documentaries on right now that everybody wants to talk about.
I was just thinking about this today, and I was like, okay, we have to get back to figuring out how we're going to do it.
Definitely. We have a group of people talking about the Karen Reed trial that is upcoming.
Yeah.
And there's already been a documentary on her, even though the trial, I believe, is upcoming.
Yeah.
But I had a friend mention it to me. I actually hadn't been following it very closely because I'm so sorry, but I find Karen herself a little bit grating.
I don't know.
She could be very upset, and that's why she's presenting the way she is. I don't know, but I was like, this is not for me. But then I had an old friend of mine text me and ask me what I thought of the case. She was like, I am so invested because I watched this documentary. What do you think? And it kind of opened the door for me to see how it's developed, and it's worth discussion. I would love to hear more of what our people have to say about it. So if you think that's interesting, if you guys want to do that, you want to talk about that or anything else that came out recently. I know there's more Menendez brothers documentaries we could talk about. They're from Princeton, so let us know.
Yeah.
Give us the suggestion to talk about, patrons. We'd love to, and if you're not a patron and you're like, that sounds awesome, well, you know what you do have to do.
Yeah.
You know? So obviously we have more exclusive content in the works for you, our beloved patrons. But if you have anything else you'd like to suggest, never hesitate to let us know. We might do it.
We might. I mean, we're clearly doing one right now.
Exactly. The people told us what they wanted.
Holly's a people pleaser.
I am.
She'll do it.
For good or for ill. In all honesty, we are here thanks to our patrons. So come on over and be part of the We Would Be Dead family.
Nice.
And if all of that is a little too much for you, you can simply follow us on social media. We are at Would Be Dead Pod anywhere and everywhere you get your content. You can like our posts, share our posts, like and share our posts. You can leave us a comment, post about your favorite episode. Let us know when you're listening. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell that guy down the block with a camera on his bird feeder. You just know he sees everything. He says it's for to watch the animals, but you know he sees shit. What's his name?
George.
You knew right away. Definitely George. Then your friends and George can become fiends and we can all hang out together.
Yeah.
And I want to know what George knows.
Oh, I do too.
You know those people that have cameras just to see the woodland critters. You know they see stuff that isn't woodland critters.
We watch those, Margie and I, in the morning.
Do you?
Yeah.
Woodland critter cams?
Because I'll put it on sometimes we wake up so early with Bowie and I'll just just realize it sounds like I'm waking up with my wife, Margie, my mother-in-law. Just in case we have new listeners. Not that it's a big deal, but but anyway, yeah. And so sometimes we'll put on a YouTube, just something relaxing, a scene, a lo-fi, coffee shop or something. But sometimes we put on just bird sounds or nature sounds, and it's always like the little recording of just like little squirrels and birds eating the nuts and a cute little setup. We do it a lot for like winter because it's so cute.
A person walking by.
I think about it quite often.
You know it happens.
Yeah. Because some of them are just live feeds.
That's what I'm saying. These things that are like, well,
yeah.
This guy, George, and his bird feeder camera. And this comes into play later. Don't you worry about it. But anyway, I think that's interesting. And I think, I'm afraid of like Ring doorbells, even though I got one because I had to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm terrified of like when people find footage, they check their Ring and it's like people standing at their doorstep late at night, just like standing there.
I cannot think about this.
I don't watch my Ring footage ever unless I get some kind of notification or there's some sort of like the police, which they have done in my neighborhood twice, have asked for our Ring footage.
Yeah.
I don't look. I don't look.
Yeah.
I don't look because I've seen too many videos of like.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
I just can't. You and George can have this conversation. I do not want to have it.
Guys, be a patron and then you can talk to me about how... Hey, listen, patrons, we could talk about Ring doorbell stories because I'm terrified of them.
I don't want to.
Halloween's coming up. I could scare the shit out of everybody with a Ring doorbell story. And myself.
Absolutely not. That could be one of those solo episodes the next time I need a surgery.
That's going to be fiction that I write for the next one. And I'm so sorry. Leslie, do you have anything else to add before we begin? Sew it up for you.
No, I'm okay.
All right, then. On with the show. Okay, so before we jump into the story part, there are a few things we have to say. First, there is no solution to this case. There just isn't. It doesn't exist. And with no solution comes a lot of speculation.
Sure.
There are like a million theories about this case, more so than some others we've looked into for sure. And there are some really wild hypotheticals out there when it comes to Tiffany and what happened to her that have absolutely no basis in reality, but are presented as pure facts. It can be hard with this one to tease apart fact from fiction. So if you do your own research, be prepared to back up everything or just look at the links we provide in the show notes because I vetted all of them. Now, some of these theories are well-intentioned. Nobody like wants bad things to happen or do they? It doesn't seem that way, and some of them are not well-intentioned. They want to aim their sights on people. Second, just because, remember this in general, you guys, this is a big Reddit case. Just because someone on Reddit says they were Tiffany's or anyone's best friend, it doesn't mean they're telling the truth. Nobody in this world is out there like checking the moral compass of internet people. And Reddit doesn't fact check. I can tell you that the two people that I talk about or reference having seen comment on Reddit in this case, not my proudest moment if you're listening to this. I'm sorry. I did not uncover anything bad about you, but I did find their social media accounts and I can confirm that they did know Tiffany and they did go to school with her. So.
Okay.
When a case has no obvious villain, the world will entertain its burning desire to create one. And suddenly everyone's an expert. I will ask that we all be gentle with our opinions as they might be aimed at a fictional boogeyman. Lastly, a lot of you guys are going to recognize this case and have asked for this case because it was featured on the Netflix reboot of Unsolved Mysteries, as well as a host of other podcasts in the wake of that. I wish I could tell you that this case was always presented evenly and with everyone's best interest in mind, but I can't. There's other podcast coverage that has leaned so hard into angles with this one. It's not even funny. And I don't know where they got it from. They clearly didn't fact check both sides of the story. But and like, I'm not going to name names, but like bigger podcasts cover this case. And they literally believe the most sensational parts and leave the rest in the dust.
Okay.
And it's upsetting. So I will share the link to the defense's entire case, like the Valiante's lawyer hit all of his 128 pages of his file in the show notes, as it is available for public consumption. And I don't know if I find that to be ethical or not, but it's there. It's over 100 pages long. I read it all, and I'm not going to omit anything important if I can help it. Please, please, please always have a critical eye when it comes to polished media pieces like the Unsolved Mysteries episode. They literally have to have an opinion to be put on air.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that until kind of recently. But like you watch a Netflix documentary, they do not get greenlighted unless they have an opinion they are presenting with that case. Okay. It is not non-biased ever. So look at who produced it and then you'll know what they want to tell you.
Right.
That's all part of the game. They aren't always concerned with who their favorites' plots are going to hurt, but we are. So, all right. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. July 12th, 2015 was a hot, sticky day in Mays Landing, New Jersey. If you're not from New Jersey, you might not know that our summers are dense.
Just sticky.
Exactly. The air is hot and wet, and sometimes it's so humid that it feels hard to breathe.
Yeah.
It feels like it's thick outside. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like walking into a greenhouse.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Unchecked vegetation gets lush and overgrown in wooded areas. Trumpet vines crawl their way out of the woods and along fences, tethering themselves to wherever they go with little red suction cups and bright orange flowers. Trees are heavy with leaves, bowing their heads gracefully to offer shade. Poison ivy quietly fills in every backyard corner and unintended leaf pile. And there are bugs. Like a lot of bugs.
Mm-hmm.
Mosquitoes, dragonflies, greenhead flies, bees, moths, lightning bugs, butterflies, cicadas, you name it. The air is humming 24 hours a day.
Yep.
That's important for you guys to know. I know this will surprise some of you because a lot of people picture New Jersey as just Newark, Trenton, and the Pine Barrens, specifically the wintertime Pine Barrens you saw in The Sopranos, and any other location they might have been in. But most of it is farms and forest.
Yeah. We are the garden state.
For a reason.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of gardens. Mays Landing is a coastal adjacent town, so in July, the streets are busier than usual. That year, the 4th of July was on a Saturday, which is bonkers.
Yep.
I'm sure I hated that. And that made the 12th the Sunday of the following weekend, which is still prime summer party time down here. Pools are clear and open for business. Kids are out of school. Beach lifeguards are on duty at that point, and weeks off are a-flowing.
Mm-hmm.
So people are around at all times.
That's the busiest time.
Yes. Eyes are open all of the time. Mm-hmm. Assume that there's somebody always walking around. Weekends down the shore are not for the crowd shy.
Mm-mm.
That night, Diane and Steve Valiante were attending a graduation party across the street from their Mays Landing home with their youngest daughter, Tiffany. The party was for Tiffany's second cousin, Amber. Her father was Tiffany's father's first cousin. So their dads are cousins. And there's the girls. The Valantes seem to be a tight-knit family from what I can see. They all kind of live really close to one another. Being a fellow South Jersey Italian, I imagine that day they grilled. Diane said they were steaming clams. I bet there were trays of ziti and salads and lots of snacks and high-volume laughter and hours spent in the pool even after the sun went down.
Mm-hmm.
The backyard would be loud and lively, covered in damp footprints and paper plates. Tiffany played with the kids, taking them down the water slide and bobbing up and down in the pool. She played volleyball in the backyard, which I'm guessing she totally dominated at, waited for some of her friends to arrive, and socialized with her adult family members politely, a smile permanently affixed to her sun-tanned face. She was a good kid, Tiffany, a recent graduate of Oak Crest High School and a competitive volleyball player. Tiffany Valiante was a tall, athletic young woman standing at 6'2".
Wow.
That's a tall lady.
Yeah.
And weighing approximately 175 pounds. She had brown, wavy hair, which she often styled in a messy bun on top of her head, as you would. Her social media photos feature a lot of crop tops and killer abs. She was in very good shape. And I'm not saying that to objectify her. What I want to make clear is that she is a strong human being.
Yeah.
She's a competitive volleyball player. She's 18 and she's in the shape of her life. Most of us would lose to her in a fight.
Well, especially if she has abs and muscles and she's 175 pounds,
that's
6'2" in high school.
Yeah.
That's muscle.
That's a girl that is in shape. Exactly. Yeah. I want us all to remember that. Not that we'd ever have a reason to fight her. Like I said, she'd win in a fight. But she was known for her bright smile and friendly demeanor. She's not a combative person at all. She had earned a volleyball scholarship to Mercy College in New York. Tiffany played volleyball for her school and on club teams. She was an impressive middle hitter. She was offered a spot on Mercy College's varsity team as an incoming freshman, which was no small accomplishment.
Yeah, that's great.
Apparently, it says, quote, a freshman playing varsity volleyball in college is uncommon, but not impossible, which tells me that, like, few people get to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Academically, she planned to major in criminal justice.
Mm-hmm.
They're always the true crime girlies, and it makes me so sad. According to her friends, if that didn't work out for any reason, her backup plan was that she wanted to join the Air Force. And this totally checks out because she follows the Air Force and local Air Force recruiting pages on all of her social media.
Okay.
So she definitely had an interest also in the military. When she wasn't playing volleyball or making plans for the future, Tiffany was busy socially hanging out with friends, going places, loitering, swimming, doing normal teenager things, whatever you do at that age. Partying, she did party a little bit. Comes out later that she would go to like parties where she'd have a couple drinks or smoke a little weed, but in no way was she like a party girl.
Okay.
So just to make that clear as we go in. Tiffany was the youngest child in the family by 10 years. She had 2 older half-sisters from her mother's previous relationship. They were named Crystal and Jessie. But since the age gap was so profound, Tiffany was Stephen and Diane's only child together. She was essentially raised as an only child.
Yeah.
By the time she had reached her formative years, her sisters were no longer living at home. And I would say they probably are closer to what we would all consider like an aunt relationship.
Okay.
Someone who's older and close to you, but like had a hand kind of in bringing you up. It just seems that way to me. And her sisters had their own children. Tiffany was close with them. So she remained close to her family.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, they weren't raised together.
Yeah.
So by 9:00 that night, the graduation party was doing the South Jersey Italian version of winding down, which means people sat down a little more. And anybody with young kids or other plans were beginning the 90-minute process of saying goodbye and wrapping up a plate to take home.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You don't leave quickly. It takes a long time. A little after 9, Tiffany walked across the street back to her house, and her parents hung back at the party. Nothing too suspicious. She lived across the street. She was old enough to go hang out at home, or maybe she just wanted to change out of her bathing suit.
Sure.
At 9:15, Diane's phone rang, and it was one of Tiffany's friends. Which, if I'm a mom and my kid's friend is calling me, I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't together. So
right. Yeah.
She said that she was pulling up at their house and she wanted Diane to come over and talk to her.
Oh.
Double red flag. Diane goes and gets her husband, says, Tiffany's friend called. I got to go back to the house for a minute. And he goes, okay, I'm going to come with you, which I would too. When they got there, they saw Tiffany's friend Jamie's car in the driveway. Jamie and Tiffany were standing next to it, having a heated conversation, and Jamie's mother was there as well. Never a good sign.
No.
When Diane and Stephen approached Jamie, she explained that she was there because Tiffany had taken her credit card and used it without her permission. She had charged $86 worth of stuff on it, and Jamie was really upset and wanted the money back, obviously.
Yeah.
And Jamie's mother was like, okay, well, here we found stuff. Like, what are we going to do about this? She wasn't aggressive about it at all. They were just kind of trying to talk it out. Diane and Stephen were kind of shaken by this accusation, as anyone would be, and they asked Tiffany, they're like, what happened? Did you do that? Tiffany vehemently denied it. She said she had not done anything like that. The argument between Tiffany and Jamie went on for another few minutes before Jamie and her mom just left. There was really nothing more they could do at that point in time, and so they just drove away. Stephen Tiffany's dad, went back inside, but Diane hung back with Tiffany in the yard, kind of talking to her. She was like, what the heck was that about? That was crazy. And after a moment, Tiffany confessed to her mom that she actually did do that. She did take Jamie's card. She did use it to go shopping. She said she didn't think it was that big of a deal and that they borrowed each other's cards all the time. To which her mom, of course, was like, clearly it was a big deal. And that's not how they saw it. It wasn't like you went to get a soda with their card. You took it and then went somewhere else without them and went shopping. She makes a point to say, like, you were not raised like that. I don't understand where this is coming from.
Yeah.
Tiffany kind of apologizes or just is like, I don't know. I'm sorry. And Diane says, okay, well, I'm going to have to go tell your father what you did now. Which as a kid, that is the worst thing you could hear when you're like, I'm going to go tell the other parent.
Yeah.
And the receipt for this purchase from the card was in Tiffany's car.
Okay.
So they did find it. This whole situation was super odd to Diane. The Valiantes were not hurting for money. And from everything I see, Tiffany had everything she could need or want. She wasn't like hurting for stuff. Stephen worked in maintenance for the state of New Jersey, and Diane worked in administration for a local public school. They had a nice house and a comfortable life. Tiffany also worked part-time at a local Wawa, so she had her own income to spend as she pleased. Stealing from a friend to go shopping seemed not only out of character, but also, quite frankly, unnecessary. Like, you have money, your family has money. Why are you taking her money?
Right. Do we know what she bought?
No, I tried to find that. I think it was like clothing. And I think it actually might have been the shoes she wears that night. A lot of people speculate because they were brand new. She had just bought them. We know that. So I think she went clothes shopping and she just used her friend's card, which again feels totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
Diane was clearly not pleased. Frustratedly, she told Tiffany that she couldn't understand why she would do such a thing. And she, said, I'm going to go in the house and tell your father, and he's not going to be happy about it. Which, like, seems awful, but it's not as bad as saying, like, okay, well, now you have to go tell your father.
Right.
Do you ever have that happen?
Yeah.
Where one parent marches you up to the other parent and you have to tell them?
No, I was such a good child.
Definitely had moments. Not, like, terrible moments, but still, that's awful. You have to say it with your own little mouth. You've already talked it out.
I know, so scary.
It's very embarrassing.
I always felt bad for my brother.
Oh, no.
I was a perfect angel.
Good for you. So Diane kind of stormed into the house and Tiffany hung back in the front yard. And little did she know that was the last time she would see her daughter alive.
Oh, shit.
Yep. Now, I'm guessing Tiffany was likely like kind of spooked by the situation. Like she knew the writing was on the wall. Her dad was going to come out and be mad at her. They were both mad at her. Her whole family is across the street. Are they going to know about this? Like, that's not a situation I would love to happen at that point in time. And she's probably scared of the consequences she was about to face and ashamed a little bit. So, it's not a great situation. Diane went back into the house and explained everything that had happened to Stephen. And at 9:29, they both walked back outside to talk to Tiffany. I will tell you in a few minutes why I know the exact timestamp of when they did that, but we do know exactly when. But she was gone. Her car was still in the driveway, though, so she couldn't have gone anywhere far, right? They did just have a rather tense argument, so maybe she snuck off somewhere private to cry or call her friends or apologize or make arrangements to pay her back. That's what I'd be doing.
Yeah.
Who knows? It had only been 15 minutes, max. Like, this is not a large period of time. Steve and Diane look for Tiffany in the front yard, in the backyard. They kind of are calling for her. They look around the property. They walk back over to the party to see if she just like went back over to the graduation party, but no one has seen her and she was nowhere to be found. They walked up and down the Carline Street. Let me tell you something, like this graduation party was big.
Right.
And their street is like kind of like a narrow little street with houses on it. So it was lined with like 30 cars. So there's a lot of like people coming and going and cars right there. So they walk down the street, they call her name, they don't hear anything. They don't see her anywhere. This is not like her. She's not the kid that storms off and you don't hear from her for a little while.
Can I make a point
to
you, though? So you said 15 minutes isn't a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially at 6'2", 15 minutes is generally like you could walk a mile in 15 minutes.
That's a good point.
So that's pretty far.
That's a good point.
And that's just like an average person, but like an athletic person, maybe running, maybe, like they could be far in 15 minutes.
You're right.
You generally run an 8-minute mile at like
I wasn't thinking about like longer legs go faster, but you're right. And she had very long legs.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, they call her phone multiple times. They leave voicemails and text messages, and then they start calling all of her friends. Tiffany's not answering anyone, so they reach out to all her friends because at this point, it's 2015, teenagers, all of them have devices.
Sure,
all of them have phones. All of them have social media.
Mm-hmm.
It's like kind of the past, but not entirely the past. Sometimes it's weird to look back and go like, well, what was there and what wasn't? So Leslie.
Sure.
Can you maybe tell us a little bit about what it would be like to be a cool young girl in 2015, as I'm sure you were?
Yes. I was so cool. Was not that young, but I was so cool.
I was just a grown up with children.
So, yeah. Okay. So 2015, Barack Obama was president. The iPhone 6S had just been released in September.
Cool.
Netflix binging was becoming a serious lifestyle.
Ooh.
Everyone was on Instagram using filters like Valencia and Amaro.
That Valencia filter got a lot of mileage.
Oh, it sure did. The fashion and beauty. Let's see. So we have jeans, shorts, and skirts. Everything like a retro waistline. Like everything was high-waisted, right?
It's a good time back then.
I know. High waist pants and then crop tops. And then a lot, you'd be really cool if you tied your like flannel around your waist.
Cute.
That was definitely what I wore for like the next 10 years.
Nice.
Kylie Jenner lips became the trend, leading to the infamous and slightly scary Kylie lip challenge.
Ugh. They're all suction cupping their lips.
Yeah. Chokers made a big comeback in the 90s. I was just laughing, like finding all these things because I was like, oh my God, all these pictures of me and my choker. Yep. Matte lipstick and bold brows were the look.
I love matte lipstick still to this day.
Yep.
I never got on the bold brow train, man. I can't have a power brow.
No,
scary.
You have a little forehead.
I do.
It would be your whole forehead.
I'd look so scary.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
It would take your whole
And you're too fair.
I'm too fair.
You couldn't have a power brow.
I have tried slightly, like gave myself a little darker blonde.
Mm-hmm.
And it weirds me out. I'm like, I can see my brows.
I hear you.
Who's the girl that plays the live action Cinderella? She has those like dark brown eyebrows. Remember. And she's like whatever actress. Every time I see her, I'm just like, holy crap, those brows.
That was the time where they used like the stencils and they like faded too. They were like ombre at one point, and they were like it looked like markers.
What was that brand? The Anastasia Beverly Hills.
Oh, the Anastasia brows.
Yes.
I could never do it, man. Neither one of us. We were not brow gals. So.
All right. The music was Taylor Swift's in 1989, that came out in 2014. So it was
like
still,
not Taylor's version.
Yeah, not Taylor's version. But it was still dominating playlists. So the top songs were Blank Space and Style. That was everything then.
Nice.
Justin Bieber had made a comeback with What Do You Mean and Sorry.
He wasn't a tragedy like he is now.
Yeah, and I don't think he was really sorry.
Really pretty nervous we're going to be talking about him soon.
Oh, God.
Oh, he is unwell.
Fifth Harmony, Ariana Grande, and Selena Gomez were queens of pop.
Yeah, Selena Gomez was Mavis Dracula to me.
Yeah.
So
I love her.
Yeah, no, she's great.
Hotline Bling by Drake gave us one of the most memeable dance moves ever.
Uh-oh. Oh, didn't go well for him in the future.
It did not. One Direction released Made in the AM and then broke up.
Oh,
yeah.
No direction.
No. So a lot of teen girls were very sad about that.
Sad. Got it.
Top movies were Pitch Perfect 2.
2. Got it.
The Duff and Paper Towns. Those were like big
got it.
teen girl movies. Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 2 like closed out that Katniss story.
Okay.
Pretty Little Liars was dropping wild plot lines.
That was that long ago?
Yeah.
No. I don't like that.
13 Reasons Why had not come out yet, but that's like it was starting to get all like hyped up.
Truly don't like that.
Yeah. Disney Channel stars like Zendaya were on the rise. So this was like right when she was becoming pretty big. The books that girls were reading were like the Divergent trilogy and Fault in Our Stars.
Oh, God, the saddest story in the world.
I know.
God.
And the adult coloring books were like coming out. They were like at an all-time high then. Big like, so like this is like our being on our phones and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. The Snapchat. Do you remember Snapchat streaks?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had one with Jill for a really long time. We were so dedicated.
Yeah. I remember people like if you were like on vacation or things like people would like get involved to help you keep streaks up.
Violet did that this summer when she was at camp. She had Flynn keep up her snap streaks with her friends.
Yeah.
She was like, I can't take my phone. I'm at camp for a week. You have to snap my friends every day.
So it's still a thing.
Yeah, I had to do her Duolingo and Flynn had to take care of her snaps.
And then like the dog filters, which I love. I love the dog filter.
Cute.
I just never really got into Snapchat though. I don't know. And then I don't recognize any of these YouTubers, so I was not cool.
I'm
I don't
bad
think.
with YouTubers.
Zoella.
Nope.
Bethany Moda.
Nope.
And Superwoman, whose name was Lily Singh.
I don't know, but good for them, man.
I don't know. They were like beauty and life coaches, kind of. Kind of. I don't know. But then the Visco, you remember Visco girls? They started becoming like a vibe then.
Coachella just happened. I bet they were all there.
Yes, probably. And then everyone had an iPhone 5 or 6, and selfies with the pop sockets and glittery cases were like becoming popular then.
Right. We're at a phase where people are documenting their lives.
They're documenting
constantly.
Everything. So there were tons of viral moments like, what are those? Do you remember with the shoes? It was like a guy. It was a vine. Vines.
Oh my God,
going.
Vines. Yeah.
Yep. And it was like a guy. The original video was like a comedian, I think, like had a video, was videoing a police officer. He went up to him and said like, hey, Mr. Officer. And then he like dramatically zooms into his shoes.
Oh, no, I don't remember that one. But
like, what are those? And then everybody was doing it like going to their parents' shoes. Going to
people are still like that. Kids are still like that.
Any shoes that they were like, what are those?
I bet you my kids still do that.
Yep, probably. Oh, the blue and black, the dress.
Oh, no.
The dress. The blue.
I remember that.
The blue and black or the white and gold dress like tore friendships apart. Whip and Nay Nay was the dance to do.
Well, watch me.
Yeah. And then, as I said before, like Netflix and chill was like becoming a thing. Like that whole thing. And then like the daily life of a high schooler. Friday nights meant football games, basketball games, or staying in for Netflix marathons. You probably had a Fujifilm Instamax camera and covered your room in Polaroids. Everyone decorated their hydro flask or carried a Visco Girl style tumbler. Tumblr aesthetics ruled, so grunge, pastel, hipster, and soft girl. You had a whole mood board on your page.
I never had Tumblr.
I did Tumblr slightly, but not really.
Well, we're going to talk a lot about it in a little bit, so you can weigh in on it, because I don't know anything about. I know more now than I did.
And then the ESO lip balms, baby lips, and Bath and Body Works body spray collection was always in your backpack.
Very nice.
Very legit. So, yeah,
cool.
That was teen life in 2015.
Okay. I like that idea. I can see these girls.
Yeah. And
it's important for us to like sink into the fact that like this is a time period where you know what people are doing. Everybody is way more transparent when you're documenting your life, whether it's truthful or not. There's documented portions of your life everywhere now.
Yeah.
There's a lot less of hers than I thought there would be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is curious, and we can discuss that later. If you look at like, again, they could have deleted things since her passing, but like largely her social media accounts are still intact.
Okay.
And her Facebook looks pretty sparse. It's just like what you would post as like things you're proud of at school and like hang out with your family. And like the only people that comment on it are like her mom or her family members and stuff like that, or like a friend here or there. But there's not a lot of activity. Again, because it's remembering, some of it might be gone.
Also, like, I feel like high school in 2015, like, wouldn't she have been more on Snapchat and Instagram?
Well, her Instagram is private, but from what I can see of it that people have talked about and teased out and how many followers and stuff she has and how many posts she has, it's pretty small.
Yeah.
It's not super active. Her Tumblr is 1 million pages long, which we will get to later, but that's the one that no family ever saw or knew about.
Okay.
So back into the story. And these are, that gives you a sense of the friends that they're contacting right now and how their lives are. It's very easy for them all to contact one another after that too, immediately. They're all going to be in touch. So they call her friends, they call close family members, everyone they could think of. And no, not a single person knew where Tiffany was. And then they all started calling her on their own. So of course, all the friends, once they hear from mom, they're calling her. They're like, where are you? What's going on? Worry like smoke began to creep into the Valantes' minds in thin tendrils. At this point, it was the kind of worry one might shrug off as like being paranoid or overcautious, but it was there nonetheless. The Valantes lived in a small but spacious neighborhood in Mays Landing, New Jersey. It's close to the Atlantic City Airport, which is kind of a smaller airport, but people still fly out of it. And Storybook Land, which is a creepy off-brand amusement park for kids. It's pretty popular here. Most people don't really see it as creepy, but I grew up in the central part of the state, not down here. So the first time I saw any of it was when I had kids. I've still never been there. I've only driven by there and seen pictures, and I was like, this is terrifying.
It does look terrifying, but everybody goes to it.
They love it. I know it's like an institution down here. It was built in like 1952. Yeah. It's been here ever since. I'll put pictures in the photo suite. It's pretty creepy looking.
Yeah.
But then again, New Jersey is a strange and wonderful place.
Sure.
A lot of coverage of this case also refers to Mays Landing in general as a rural, farmy type community and gives the impression that it is a sparsely populated town in the middle of nowhere. And that's not true.
Mm-mm.
Not the whole town. I mean, there are neighborhoods that are like a little more spaced out, but they have a mall.
Yeah.
We don't have malls.
No.
I don't think people understand that in the world of tourist communities, year-round businesses are treasures.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a whole lot of them, and Mays Landing is where many of them reside. Yeah. If you live in Cape May and you want to go to like Sephora or something, you have to drive to Mays Landing.
Yeah.
You'll also need to go there for doctor's appointments and a myriad of other things. Mm-hmm. We all have to go there.
That's where, when I first moved down here, that was where I had to go for all of my doctor's appointments.
Because all the main offices are there and in like Egg Harbor, which is Egg Harbor is in like the Mays Landing area. It's like the neighboring town. So it's right there. It is civilization. As far as this like Cape May County goes and Atlantic County, like that's civilization.
Yeah.
And anyone south of that area will understand that. Mm-hmm. Not only that, but it does exist on a thoroughfare that travels from and to Philadelphia and other parts of New Jersey, like to the shore. So if you're going from Philly to the shore, you're going through this town. Mm-hmm. There is a well-beaten path. It is not a cornfield. Mm-mm. The Valiantes lived in a very nice neighborhood on the border of Mays Landing and Galloway, about 2 miles away from the Blue Heron Pines Golf Club. Galloway is just another town in that area. It's also, it's not super rural. There might be like more kind of farms and stuff there, but it's still like populated. There's people there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Valiantes.
That's where I would think like Galloway, I feel like that's like where people would live.
Yeah.
Who then work in Mays Landing.
Yeah. Or Galloway.
Or Galloway. Yeah. That's,
it's not a cornfield. And I listened to a couple other people's coverage on this where they're like, it's a small, unincorporated rural community. I'm like, you can use those words and technically some of them are true, but you're really giving the wrong impression. It sounds like she was out in the middle of nowhere and she truly wasn't neighborhood-wise. Yeah. So anyway, their house is, however, situated on a 4.3 acre lot. They have a lot of land, which is how most of this land is wooded, though. So they live on like a little open area, and then behind it, you keep acres of woods.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So, and that's how like most of the houses are out there. This gives residents both community and privacy. It's kind of like a McMansion neighborhood, but not as fancy.
Okay.
It's the kind of place you'd need a hayride to trick or treat through, if that makes sense. Like somebody gets the tractor and takes the kids around.
Okay.
Though the development is set off a major highway that sees steady car traffic nearly 24 hours a day, it is in and of itself pretty solitary. It's a quiet, kind of woodsy neighborhood. Other than the golf course, there's nothing out there. The closest Wawa is 5.5 miles away. And for South Jersey, that's like really far for the closest Wawa. All of that is to say that if you wanted to go somewhere, you were not going on foot. Mm-hmm. There was really nowhere to walk.
Yeah.
And on top of all that, it had gotten dark at this point in our story. July does house some of our latest sunsets, but by 9:30, the light is all but gone. Like, imagine the 4th of July fireworks. They usually happen closer to 9:30 because that's when it's darkety dark. The Valiantes development doesn't have streetlights, and the woods in the summertime can create a pretty dense void. The moon, eerily, just like the one that's shown on Jeanette De Palma, was a waning crescent. I have talked about the waning crescent moon before. It looks like the Cheshire Cat's smile made of light. It's barely there at all, just a little sliver. Away from the houses, the darkness could be overwhelming. And Tiffany was notoriously afraid of the dark. Like publicly, loudly afraid of the dark. The Valenti family decided to mobilize, and this wasn't hard because a lot of them were all gathered in one place. They're all at this one party, so they can go be like, hey, we need to look for Tiffany, and a million people are there right away to do so.
Okay.
So they formed a search party, instantly fanning out into other yards and the surrounding woods, using flashlights, calling Tiffany's name. The street in front of the Valenti's house, as I mentioned before, was lined with cars. So tons of people were attending the graduation party. And they would go to their cars periodically and stuff. You know, that happens. And at 6'2", Tiffany was not exactly inconspicuous. You would have seen her walking down the road, and nobody had seen anything. Friends and family were now completely flooding Tiffany's phone with messages. They all, since we've seen her phone records. So these messages are all saying that they love her and begging her to come home. There's a lot of like, where are you? Are you at this person's house? You have to come home. Please, Tiff, I love you. Come home. Please, Tiff, come home, come home, come home, come home. Pretty desperate. And a lot of people red flag this because she's only been missing for like an hour. And she's 18. A lot of people are like, she is a legal adult who can drive. She can never car, but like still.
Right.
But people are like on high alert right away.
Right.
But it also to me says that this is totally out of character.
Yeah. Or like, why are they worried so fast?
They're immediately worried. Her parents are worried the second they can't find her.
Okay, I also would feel like this is a red flag in a sense that in 15 minutes she's gone. Or she's been gone, like at first, she's been gone for 15 minutes and then...
Well,
and then
they were inside for 15 minutes.
That's what I mean. Yeah, but she was gone between that period of time.
And right now we're an hour into searching.
But the parents were immediately worried, texting friends.
Yes, that is true.
And then, but like, there was a reason for her to like kind of run.
Yeah.
So...
They had like an upsetting thing happen.
Like, that would read to me like they're worried that she's going to do something.
That's what a lot of people say. I can't say that's right or wrong, but like that is a conclusion that one could draw from that. And a lot of people see that as a red flag. Also, I think her friends, if they got a phone call from her mother saying, I can't find Tiffany, would immediately panic no matter what it was. Because her mother called them. They're like, shit, our parents are going to get called. What the hell is happening? Where are you?
Yeah, I could see that too. If it was just coming from the parents of like, we can't find her, and maybe they don't have all the information.
They might not know how long she's been gone. They just said we can't find Tiffany.
So that's where I wouldn't read it as a red flag initially from the friend, like the amount of people coming in, because the way that it feels is like they're so concerned.
Yeah.
And that they're concerned thinking like she did run off. And this is typical of her. And this
and the
is something
message
she would do.
From her dad, which I'll read later, is very much like, I love you. Come home. Please come home. I love you so much.
Which is also okay because I would read that as like, he knows that she ran off because like...
He was mad at her.
He was like, she was afraid he was going to get really mad. And he was just like, no, like come back. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Which could also be why it took them 15 minutes to come back outside. Because maybe the parents were having a heated discussion.
Maybe.
And then they cooled off.
Or trying to figure it out or something.
Yeah. What do we do? What happened? Yeah. I don't know. This is wild.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right?
But you said she was happy, so...
From all reports as of right this point in the story, all we know is that she seemed to be a happy girl with her future on track who was excited. She was like planning her dorm room. She had talked to her roommate. She had gotten new school clothes. She was planning on going to school in the fall. She was excited about that.
Yeah.
That's what we know. She worked at Wawa. She went to parties. That's what we know.
So if anything, I would read that the parents initially trying to get a hold of friends as like, hey, if she contacts you, like, we're not gonna like, I don't know, beat her ass or kill her because she did this thing. Just tell her to come home so we can talk to her.
Yeah, I mean, it was heightened. They were definitely like, we can't find her. Where is she?
Okay.
Which, if you're a friend and you get that phone call, you're going to freak out immediately.
Yeah.
Everything is high. I mean, you take your cues from the first person you hear from. So if her parents were immediately panicked, everybody that talked to them was going to panic because they assumed this is how we're supposed to respond. You know? Some people, I'm sure, were like, listen, settle down. We're just going to look for it's going to be okay. But people seem to immediately go, yeah, we should panic. So,
which is also okay because then other people don't panic right away and then other
bad things happen. Exactly. So we don't know. I'm just saying this is made a big deal of in a lot of discussion of this case. So all these people are calling her phone, but not a single, she doesn't answer anybody. And this also seems strange to me because There are plenty of times a teenager like won't answer for their parents or family members or even her friend that was angry at her. But like all your friends?
That's weird. Yeah.
There's usually at least one person who will get through or a text will come through. Something. They usually can't, that many notifications, like their brain can't even not respond. Like,
right.
And her phone must have been absolutely blowing up.
Yeah. So I'll just say this because I know I know the, like a couple of the theories at the end and also the ultimate like decision. But I would say that generally somebody who, there's the person that wants attention and they would respond to their friends.
Yes.
At least one friend.
Yes.
Looking for some attention and sympathy.
Leaving breadcrumbs.
Yeah, even if they were acting like, say, suicidal, it's like the attention grabbing of it.
I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Come, but just stay away from me.
One,
I have to do that. Yeah.
The scary one is...
the silent one.
The silent one. The one that is not responding.
Yeah. That's a fair assessment.
Okay.
So at this point, it's about 10:30. And while walking between 10:30 and 11 o'clock, there are reports of anywhere in between there. It's kind of inconsequential. While walking down the road in front of his house for the millionth time that night, Stephen Valiante hears a low, rhythmic buzzing sound and then sees something flat on the front lawn, lighting up just a few feet from the curb in the grass.
Oh.
It was her phone.
Oh, no. Okay, so she doesn't even have it.
No, she didn't have it at all. Her phone, I mean, like, that explains why she wouldn't answer anyone. And this makes her father's blood run cold. And it would for me too. Like, you pick it up and you also see that it has like 100 text messages and all of the voicemails. You're like, oh, none of these were even seen. Nothing. Yep. Like most 18-year-old girls, for Tiffany, this was highly suspicious because she was basically like surgically connected to her phone at all times. Like it did not leave her hand. She couldn't let it out of her sight. Her father said she even had a plastic case so she could bring it into the shower with her. Like she never let her phone go. She was on it all the time. So something is like most definitely wrong if it's in the grass. Now, me, who would not want to make the worst situation out of this, I would be like, she dropped it. Also, I have children that drop things all the time, and so do I. So I would assume that she was like walking and it fell out of her pocket. But then also there's the thing where like you don't go an hour and then you don't have your phone. You come back and find your phone.
Yeah.
So just walking around the neighborhood was proving to be pretty ineffective at this point in time for all of them. They're like, well, we've done the loop time and time again. She's not here. And at this point, Stephen remembers something. He had a trail camera set up in the woods by his house, like on his property, that pointed towards his front yard to record the deer.
Okay.
It's called a deer camera everywhere.
Yeah.
There's nothing that is specifically a camera just for deer. This is a trail camera. I don't know why you would just want to record the deer outside of a hunting environment, but maybe they just like looking at them. Deers are cute.
Yeah.
They are calming, like you said. They're a nice, calm scene. And there's a ton of them down here. Maybe there's a little family, there's little fawns. It could be cool. Either way, the deer camera, as it was referred to everywhere, and because they call it that, may have captured something, they think. So they go inside to look at the footage. And sure enough, it shows Tiffany walking away from the house at 9:28, which is 60 seconds before they walked back out in the yard.
Oh, that's it?
9:28. She walks away from the house wearing a black t-shirt, white jean shorts, flat white canvas Sanuk shoes that she had just purchased. The shoes are brand new. They look kind of like boat shoes or like Hey Dudes. They're that like boaty canvas. Her hair is up in a messy bun and she is wearing a white headband, the kind that goes all the way around your head, the kind that you might wear to the gym. She seems to be walking at her usual stride. She's walking away from the house at 9:28 and it's time-stamped. And then at 9:29, timestamp, Diane, Stephen, and Tiffany's dog, Tucker, come back out of the house and into the camera frame. It is within 1 minute of each other. How was she completely gone in 60 seconds?
Wow.
So don't even go there. But you have to think, like, she had to hear them at first.
Like in the house, you mean?
No, when they came outside and she's not there and they're going, hey, where is she, Tiff? They're calling for her and stuff. in a minute, you're still close enough that you would probably hear them calling you.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah. So is she walking the way that she's walking? Is she walking towards the woods?
The street. She's walking towards the street, like down the driveway, like out.
And were they walking down towards the street, towards the driveway?
Well, they were walking in the same direction. So the direction that the trail cam hits is like a little segment of the driveway. Really, it sees more woods, but when you zoom in, you can see a piece of the driveway, and that's going like from the house towards. They have a big I think they have like a circular drive, so you only see a piece of it.
Yeah.
But she travels from closer to the house to further from the house, and they come into frame from the house to that spot. So,
but they're so sorry. So they are walking in the same direction, though, or no?
Well, yeah, because okay, none of you can see this. This is just for Leslie. So if this is the spot that you can see, and this is the house, and over there is Freedom. She is standing here, right?
Yep.
And she's seen doing this. Then you see the parents do this. They come into the frame. And they're like, where is she? Where is she? Where is she? And then I guess they look around a little bit. I don't know that they go down the driveway right away.
Okay.
But it's 60 seconds.
Right.
The timestamps are 9:28 and then 9:29. It's crazy.
I was just thinking because if they also walked straight to the road, you feel like they would see her unless she was like hiding, or
which is also possible. And and then there is the theory that she got into a car.
Right.
We don't know. Again, I'm just presenting what we have, and then we'll narrow it down as we can. But that is something that everybody else also fixates on. The fact that like it's so fast and she seems seemingly gone. However, you are right. And this is what I thought. I'm like, if you don't want your parents to find you, you're not going to run towards them when they call you. You're going to duck into the woods or just keep walking.
Or through the cars.
Yeah.
All those crazy amount of cars on the road right now.
Yeah, that would make you not be able to. I mean, also, her parents probably walked out and were like, where is she? I guess she went back in the house. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
The first thing I would do is go right back in the house and go, did she come in and we didn't see her? She came in through the back door or something?
Right. She went over to the family's party.
Yeah, I would immediately assume that. I wouldn't be like, better run down the street, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, they're obviously a little bit upset about the credit card. You see them, the picture of them looks like them like standing there like, what? And you can find, and Tiffany never comes back into the frame again. People come in and out of it the rest of the night. She never does. Still images from this footage are readily available online. You can see them. They're very unsettling. I will note that only still photos are available of this moment. And trail cameras are weird. They're designed to capture wildlife in the woods. And this one has night vision, so it's a night vision style photo. And some of them record just like a security camera where you see like video feed. But some of them just take constant still images.
Okay.
I'm not sure if actual video footage exists of Tiffany walking or if it's just time-lapse photos and you just see the photos. They did not make it this clear. We can only see photos, right? And they say the deer camera. That's how they refer to it. And then they call them pictures, but it looks like video. So it's very weird, but I just know we have these photos and they are timestamped, so we know Tiffany's actively walking. You can see her like legs are in long stride. So it looks like a shot of a cryptid. Frankly, it really does.
I'm so short.
It really looks like a ghost. Yeah. But it's very clear who the people are. You know who it is. And in the photo, Tiffany doesn't appear upset. It's not like she's holding her face or visibly crying or on the phone. Her stride looks normal for her, which is like 10 strides for us. And she seems to be walking confidently. Her head's up. She's just walking. In the distance, in the shot of Tiffany, you can see headlights coming through the woods. But again, they're on a road and there are people coming and going from a party. So to me, this does not immediately say, oh no, someone's coming to get her. It just says there's a car on the road. Some people think differently. And so her mother, when she talks about this moment, like the trail cam footage, she fills in a lot of gaps creatively. I'm not saying that her mother is incredible, and I'm not saying that she's wrong, but I do feel that she fills in a lot of gaps with what she thinks, with like theoretically what could have happened.
Okay.
And I think it's easy to confuse that with like, that definitely did happen.
Okay.
For instance, she states that the only thing she could imagine would have made her walk away like that was if someone called her name. She's like, it looks like somebody called her and she was going towards them. It doesn't. It just looks like she's walking. I mean, if I were her mom, maybe I would see that in that photo, but I'm not. So, you know. There's no indication of any other people present or her like actively responding to any kind of stimulus. That's just a guess. It's okay to guess. How could you not guess? It could be a right guess, but we do need to know it's a guess. By midnight, so now more time passes, they still can't find her. They have notified Tiffany's uncle, Michael Valenti, who is a New Jersey State police trooper. I think he's also ex-military. He had been called in to help with the search, though it does not appear that they did this formally. They did not make a police report at this point in time because, in all fairness, she had only been missing for a few hours and she is technically an adult.
Okay.
So I don't think there is a whole lot police would have done at that point, even if they had been called. They'd be like, you had a fight with your grown-up daughter and then she's not answering her phone.
This is really frustrating. We don't have to harp on it, but I think that it's wild to call an 18-year-old high school girl.
Oh, I do too. She's a child.
Or boy, or anybody, an adult.
I agree. Also, but legally, she is.
And also in New Jersey, at least, that it might be other places, say child support wise. You know how they say oh, you're done at 18 paying child support? It's through the 18th year. So they continue because they're probably still in school they're living with parents and they're doing they're, most of the time they're not in college yet or it's a portion of college,
But legally, the second they turn 18, child laws no longer apply.
Yeah.
We saw this way back when we covered Caitlin Eakins, and she wasn't investigated more because she technically wasn't a missing child. She was an adult and she was free to go if she wanted to go.
It's just so frustrating because I feel like they need to look at the situation and make the decision.
Absolutely. This is somebody's dependent who just graduated high school.
Right.
You're not that's not a full-on adult, but legally.
Yeah.
The police
possibly still sleeping with a stuffy. You know what I mean?
I mean, I have my stuffies and I'm in my 40s. So,
This is what I'm saying.
No, she definitely had a little girl
me like
room.
A child.
The room is still preserved. Her parents never changed it. It's still exactly the same. But it is a little girl room. There's a whiteboard with little hearts on it on the door. And so this is a kid, 100%. But technically, had they called the police at this point in time, the police would have said, I can't help you.
Yeah. I won't help you.
Yeah.
Is how I feel.
But they have Uncle Mickey.
Okay, good. Uncle Mickey.
A state trooper.
Oh, so Italian.
I know. So he drives a half mile down the road to Tiffany's grandmother's house. That would be his and Tiffany's dad, who is his brother's mother, to see if she had ended up there. They're like, maybe she drove there and mom's just letting her cool down and maybe that's where she is, but she wasn't. So after he found out she wasn't there, he branched out of the neighborhood and began driving down South Pomona Road towards the New Jersey Transit Railroad tracks. So this is a decently traveled street. It's not a giant highway, but it's a street. As he approached and crossed the tracks, Michael noticed that's Uncle Mickey. His name is Michael, but they call him Mickey. Noticed that there was an area of the tracks that was totally lit up by floodlights. And there were people doing things. There's lots of people gathered in cars, official-looking people and cops and transit authorities, not random gawkers. And with a pit in his stomach, he decided to turn around off onto the access road that runs along the railroad tracks to see what they were looking at. Now, remember, this man is going to have a little bit of police privilege. He's not on duty, but he is an officer. So he probably can talk to the people down there more so than a civilian. It should be noted that trains run along those tracks regularly, going to and from Philadelphia, New York, Newark, and Atlantic City, hitting a host of local stops running from the southernmost point of the state onward, in between, and along the way. Well traveled.
Right.
New Jersey Transit is also a major state-owned system of public transportation. These were not tracks for a small local train, not a train that used to run and doesn't anymore, not a high-speed line or a shuttle. They are big-time train tracks. Trains go by approximately once an hour from dawn until about 2 a.m. Clearly, something had happened, and it's because it's not like an abandoned type area. Now, another thing I will make note of right here, and probably never again because I don't give any credit, is that there is a place in the woods right by this point of the train tracks where Stockton University students used to party. It was like an old abandoned house where they used to go and party. And it's now full of old furniture and trash and everything. And I guess sometimes people still go out there and drink or whatever. There was no indication that anyone was there that night. In the episode of Unsolved Mysteries, they call it 1,000,000 times the perfect place to hide a body. I will remind us all that there was no body found in there, but still. People like to make a really big deal of the fact that that was there and anybody could have been in this house or used that house or done something. But it's not immediately in the vicinity. It's like a mile or so away. And there's just no evidence that anybody was there.
Okay.
But other podcasts have made like a huge deal about this. So I feel if I don't mention it, I've left something out. But guys, there's nothing more to say about it. It's just a rundown place where college kids used to have a party and sometimes they still go to do drugs. That's it.
Yeah. And it's a mile away from...
I believe so. It's not right there. You have to walk into the woods a little while.
Okay.
And it's like an abandoned structure full of trash.
Okay.
Also, this piece of track was in Galloway. They've left Mays Landing. They're in Galloway now. So there were Galloway police milling around like the area where the lights were, like where the scene began. They were kind of on the exterior of it. They weren't really in the thick of it. And that is because whatever happened on train tracks, which means it's not Galloway's jurisdiction. This belongs in the hand of the New Jersey Transit Authorities. So these are like, I don't know, they don't have any township to report to. They're lords of the train. Like they rule over just the train and stuff, like just transit. Weird for an investigation like this, but okay. So Michael approaches a transit officer because he sees they're in charge and asks, have you seen a very tall young woman? And he gives them Tiffany's description, what she was wearing and everything, walking around out here tonight. Have you seen somebody in the woods? Have you seen somebody maybe walking along by the tracks? Have you seen this girl? And the officer said, no, we haven't, but someone has been hit by the train.
Oh.
And we think it's the young lady you're talking about.
Oh, I got chills.
Me too. I don't often say that, but I really did.
Yeah. Oh, that went right through my body. And I knew what you were going to say.
I know. It makes you feel like a little bit like you're going to throw up. It's terrible. The transit officer then said, is there someone who could identify the body? Though he did warn them. He's like, it's terrible to look at. This is gruesome. She's not put together anymore. So not only are they going to see something awful, but it's going to have to be somebody close to this person that can recognize like a freckle or something because her face is not her face. So Uncle Mickey offers to do it himself. He's like, I can do it. She's my niece. I'm not, my brother does not ever need to see this. Never. No parent should see this of their child ever. If it's Tiffany, like, no. Which I think is big.
Yeah.
And so he walked over to the body bag that she was in at the time and they unzipped it and showed him the remains that were in there. And he was able to say that, yes, it was Tiffany. And he does report in several different locations. And he's like, I don't know how to tell you what it looks like. What was it like? Interviewers asking that question. And he's just like, it was the worst thing in the world.
But how could he tell that it was her?
Well, she's still, I think like you just can tell if it's like your family. I mean, like she may have had a birthmark. It may have been a piece of jewelry that was still attached to her body. It may have been her hair, though her face was like really damaged. There's still some of her there.
Okay.
I mean, it's confirmed. It's her. Don't worry. They don't never see. It definitely was her. She didn't just like run away and never come back. But yeah. So police then said, oh, okay, we have to go inform her parents. So they put Michael in the car with them and they drive to the Valente's house where they allow Michael to tell them what happened. They're like, you can tell them. If I were the cops, I'd be like, I don't want to.
Go ahead. You can do it.
I don't know the conversation that went on there. The way he describes it, he said, you have to tell your brother, is what they said to him. And I'm like, come on now. Most cops would be like, do you want us to tell them? What do you want to do? But apparently he had, I don't know. He told them. They were still there with him in an official capacity, but Michael did break the news. And at this time, it's about 2:30 a.m. Stephen immediately asks to go see Tiffany's body, but Michael said, absolutely not. You don't want to see that. That is not how you need to remember your daughter. Let it go. Do not go there. And they don't. Now, as much as viewing a body can provide closure for people, in this instance, I really think it was the right choice.
Sure.
keep that image out of your head. Tiffany's body was taken to Shore Hospital, where it was examined by a local medical examiner who I can only imagine took one look at the situation and went, oh no, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit.
For real.
To Shore. This was brought to Shore, which is a small hospital.
It is small,
in Summers Point, which is a small tourist-driven town. Like, it's not... Summers Point has a year-round population and plenty of businesses, but it is small.
Mm-hmm.
And the hospital is not huge. It's nice. I had a great experience there having my kids, but it is not like a big-time thing. In my opinion, they were ill-equipped to handle this situation.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they seem much like that. But it was handed to them, so they handled it.
Wow.
Kind of. Dr. Daksha Shah carried out what we're going to call an autopsy, but really it was just an observation of parts. Here is what the report says. Quote, the body is received in a body bag sealed with a lock with an attached tan identification tag with the number 01150410 and the name Valente Tiffany. Identification was visually established by the decedent's uncle, Michael Valente. Clothing and personal property. None. Interesting. Guess they already took what was left on her body. External examination. The body is that of a well-developed, well-nourished, white-skinned young female who has extensive crushing injuries due to being struck by a train. Exact height cannot be accurately evaluated as the body is crushed and in pieces. The body weight is approximately 180 to 200 pounds. Again, this is estimating chunks of persons, so it's very hard to do that. The brain is lost. It extruded from the cranial cavity. So her brain just exploded out of her head. There is a large wound in the back of her head. A portion of the hair is attached, which is black and covered with soft, mushy, pinkish white brain tissue.
Oh, God.
Never heard it described like that in one of these before, but okay. There are extensive injuries of the face. The face is completely crushed. The left ear is partially cut off. And there are extensive injuries on the back of the head. Height is reported to be 6'3", but in some places her parents say 6'2". Again, you guys, in official documents, several of them, it is different in different places. So on the Oakcrest High School website, I guess that they got it from her high school's website, which doesn't necessarily have to be right. She is a volleyball player, but because of the extensive injuries of the body, her height cannot be evaluated at this point. The body torso is approximately 5'6" only. The lower extremities are cut off and separated from the body with extensive crushing. Injuries of the lower abdomen, portion of the internal organs also exploded from the body and are found on the scene. This is graphic description.
Yeah.
Also, the lower extremity left foot is crushed with the bone sticking out from the crushed left foot. Her right foot was totally perfectly intact. The right leg also shows extensive injuries, cutting injuries, and is also cut off from the body at the hip joint. The right forearm is cut off at the upper arm and separated from the body. The abdominal cavity internal organs erupted from the body because of the crushing injuries to the chest and abdomen. There are excessive injuries noted in the abdomen and the chest area. The eyes cannot be evaluated and the face is completely crushed. Extensive injuries are noted in the face and neck area. Also sent in a container is a portion of all other organs, which are in fragments and pieces. A portion of the liver is also sent separately, and a portion of the kidney can also be identified. Crucially here, still in quotations, the manner of death is suicide. There is an added toxicology screening that came out negative for all recreational drugs and alcohol. I will point out that no rape investigation was carried out whatsoever. They did not look for any kind of other fluids or DNA. They did not look under any remaining fingernails. They did not look in her private areas. The cause of death was determined on a largely unrecognizable body without speaking to the victim's family and friends, without reviewing her mental health records or visiting the scene of the crime. Suicide was assumed before any investigation was carried out, and so there are some problems with that procedurally.
Yeah.
He probably shouldn't have just stamped that suicide without looking into it a little more, especially when the family is shrieking it's not suicide.
Yeah.
Back at the Valentes, Tiffany's family was attempting to process the worst news in the world overnight. I don't imagine they really slept, And then by morning, when the story hit the news, they were met with the fact that, or by afternoon, whenever it was, they were met with the fact that their daughter had died by suicide. It was on the news. They're like, girl killed herself, threw herself in front of the train. And they were like, I'm sorry, what? Because they had not been told that, nor did they believe it was true. They really jumped the gun on her cause of death, and that causes huge problems in the future.
Should they not have taken the body to like ship the body over to shore? Should there have been, like, what were the train police saying about the body?
That's the other thing. The train police are not homicide detectives.
Right.
They are not death detectives. They are train police.
Right.
Now, while people do get hit by a train, and, there is a person, an expert involved in this case that we will talk about later, that says something to the effect of suicide by train is incredibly rare and unlikely. It is not. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Train conductors and engineers are trained to deal with this because they say, not if, when this happens, you can't look away. This is what you have to do.
Yeah.
And it is a big capital when. So, but they don't do the same procedure as a detective would. You are correct. But it was their jurisdiction. So they were responsible for scooping her up and putting her in a bag and marking everything out and sending it over to the nearest hospital for examination.
So, I mean, if anything, like, they pretty much deemed it a suicide, because if they thought it was a homicide,
No. The medical examiner determines cause of death.
What I understand, but if they didn't call in a homicide detective, they weren't thinking that it was a homicide. They were just like, she threw herself in front of this train.
Okay, yeah, that's correct.
Because I don't know what the conductor, you're going to tell us more of the scene probably.
Yeah.
But I would think then that it wasn't necessarily a weird thing for the autopsy guy to be like, or the medical examiner to be like, this was a suicide, because why else would her body have just gotten there? Why would he think anything was foul play?
Well,
okay.
So the thing that's going to get them in the end with this poor person at shore, who I'm positive was not prepared for what they got handed, is that they can't really establish that she wasn't dead when the train hit her. They don't try to establish that.
Okay.
And they use some verbiage that proves to be problematic. Now, it's a very colorful description of her body. It's a very graphic, impactful description of her body. But they also use things like cutting injuries and cut off. And if you're not in the medical field and you don't understand that any kind of removal that's a clean cut is a cut, like the train hitting her, running over her leg and severing it, that's a cutting injury.
Right.
They assumed that they were removed bit differently.
Okay.
So the way this is phrased, and the fact that the guy, again, actually, I don't know that it's a man, the human that does this.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do all the autopsy things. I mean, it's the poor body is in pieces.
Mm-hmm.
They examine what they can. They don't really go into everything. They don't do the rape kit. They do a tox screen. They don't really go too deep into looking at the body. They just say this was somebody hit by a train. They killed themselves.
Okay.
And they are not careful with how they phrase things on the autopsy report.
Sure.
Which leaves too much wiggle room for anybody who wants it.
And I guess my only question then would be, did those things need to be ordered for them to do it? Or did the medical examiner just not do?
That's on the medical examiner.
Okay.
That's him. That's them.
So they get a body and they just have to treat it.
They have to find out how it died, and they have to ask questions. They're supposed to say, okay, I think this person took their own life. Did they, do I have records to see that they were sad? Were they on medicine? Were they depressed? What did they do? That wasn't done. There was none of that was done.
Okay. Okay.
So there were skip steps. It didn't, I mean, it seems to them like it was very cut and dry, so they didn't need to investigate.
Right, that's what
However, when you're this person's family and you do not want to think about them taking their own life, you need an investigation, and it's not done.
Right. It seems like everything happened really fast instead of taking a moment to talk.
Which leaves a lot of room for argument.
Okay.
When you're assuming everywhere.
Okay. Got it.
So the Valantes insisted that Tiffany was a very happy girl who was looking forward to her future. They said she was never depressed, never anxious. She didn't worry too much about anything. She had a really great life, great friends. And of course they said that. Of course they said that. They're her parents. No parents want to let it hit their consciousness that their child ended their own life or was miserable enough to do so in some way, or worse than all of those things, ran off after an argument or an incident that they were involved in and ended their own life. No, but you don't want that. You don't want that information. And frankly, I don't think they need to have it. I think that they can put the end on this in their heads whatever way lets them sleep at night, but they can't because there's a lot of investigations still happening, but whatever. Now, I'm not saying that Tiffany did or did not end her own life, but what I am saying is that I've covered a lot of cases where parents of victims cannot accept that their child was responsible for their own death or the death of another. It's just not, it doesn't register with a parent, and that's okay. The transit authorities spoke with the train's engineer, Wayne Daniels, and his apprentice, Marvin Olivares. They have great names.
Sure.
And some of the passengers on the train. There's not a lot of passenger statements. I think a few of them were like, I think I saw a girl. I don't really see anything because she hit the front of the train.
Right. So you're not really. Yeah.
I might have seen some splat.
Gotcha.
Which is good luck coming back from that. So here's a synopsis of what the engineers said. There will be a link to their full interview in the lawyer's statement. You guys can read the whole thing. It's long. Mr. Daniels, the engineer, was taking a call regarding possible delays. So he's talking to the train people, ground control to Major Tom style.
Gotcha.
And so his apprentice, Marvin, was at the train's helm. He's the one that's looking out the windshield, doing the driving. I don't think you really drive a train. I think you just sit there while it goes. That's what he was doing. Marvin said when they reached approximately the spot, she was kind of not far in the distance. So probably I don't know, 20 yards ahead or something.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't give a distance. He sees a girl near the tracks of the train, dangerously close to the tracks of the train. He says about 15 or 20 feet away from the tracks. That's dangerous. You shouldn't be that close to an oncoming New Jersey Transit train. He said she's facing away from the train and crouching down, which is haunting as hell.
Ugh.
I'd be like, what are you doing? I wouldn't even, and this is another arguing point. She's crouched down next to the train. A lot of people are like, is she living? But what happens next indicates that she had to have been. The person that they saw was wearing a black shirt and sneakers, just like Tiffany was. Marvin blew the train horn, and the train kept advancing. At the sound of the horn, the girl turned around. This is happening very fast. The train is traveling at 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And he blew the horn again. And at the second sound of the horn, the girl dove in front of the train. She jumped in front of it.
Oh.
Marvin then activated the train's emergency braking system, of course, but it was too late. It wasn't going to work. It couldn't have been. And again, in your train training, they tell you you can push the brake. You're not going to save that person. The train is going too fast. They can't stop on a dime. That's not a thing. The resulting impact was bloody. They remember stuff flying. And Marvin yelled, a girl jumped out. And Mr. Daniels, the engineer, turned around. He was a few paces behind him, on the phone, whatever. And he came back into the helm of the train with urgency, quickly, but he did not see the girl or the impact.
Okay.
Can you imagine being that guy?
No.
It's supposed to be your job. And you're like, I stepped away for 1 minute because the train bosses wanted to tell me about train delays, and my apprentice just saw a girl jump in front of the train. Ugh. Now, their statements do change a couple times when they are repeated to other cops. I don't think this is suspicious. Some people do. Memory is a funny thing. First, they say she dove out. They just saw her dive out. They don't see her before. Then they say she was standing. They say she was crouched down, as they remember further. There was one point in time where it was reported that Mr. Daniels had seen the impact as well and was standing right next to Marvin, but he admitted that he did not and was not. Memory is a funny thing. This is traumatic. And remember, guys, the people who are consistently accurate and the same word for word every time, those are your liars.
Right.
The people who have a few variables here and there are usually the ones that are telling the truth because they're trying to draw out more details with time.
Yeah.
This is not something your brain wants to revisit. So I don't know how well you're going to remember parts of it. I do not think they did anything suspicious. And to be clear, nobody thinks they were like murdering people with trains.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, what are you guys trying to say? They just think like, well, you got the details wrong. So she didn't jump. She was already laying there dead.
Mm.
They also point to the fact that to get down from like the wooded area to the train tracks, there's like a retaining wall fence type thing. And they're like, well, she never could have gotten over that. Volleyball is all jumping, and she was 6'2" and super strong.
She jumped.
She jumped. And remember, she's tall and very strong.
Yeah.
Yes, she did get over that fence.
Yeah.
Just fine.
But also the detail of her, like seeing her turn around to look at them.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
I also think that's the part you never forget. If you see that girl's face,
I can't. This is just like the doorbell cameras.
Well, yeah, because it's dark. It's just the train light hits her. Oh, yeah, that's awful.
I know this is our episode right now, but I don't want to hear it.
I'm so sorry.
This is awful.
It is awful.
Okay.
It is fucking awful.
Oh.
Now, during the investigation, the train police failed to locate Tiffany's shorts and shoes.
Okay.
They just never find them. And I think she was in like very little clothing. I think they found her shirt. She had her bra on. Some reports say underwear, some reports say no. But I have to say, historically, when people are hit by oncoming trains, it throws their clothes off.
Okay.
They are often knocked out of their shoes. A lot of times their clothes end up coming off. That's not like super weird.
Right.
A lot of people point to that as like, well, her clothes had been removed. I'm like, but the police officer, the engineer guy saw her wearing clothing. He did not say a naked girl was sitting on the train tracks. That is noticeable.
He also specifically said what
black
actually
shirts,
was
sneakers.
wearing.
Yes,
like, how could he make that up?
I don't think he could. But again, when your statement has a hole that someone could dig or pry open, and you want to dig that hole or pry it open, you're going to find it.
Okay.
So,
do they, before I make certain speculations, do they find these clothes?
They find 2 items.
Do they find the shorts?
No.
Okay. Because when she gets smacked, couldn't that have like gotten into like the train?
Sucked up into the train.
And like shredded?
Yes,
or just
it absolutely could have. Or burnt.
Okay.
It's hot down there.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people say. They're like, I think they were like little white jean shorts. I think they probably got sucked up into the train mechanisms and pulverized.
Yeah. Okay.
They're not flipping over the whole train to look for fibers.
Gotcha.
Or maybe they did and they were gone. I don't know. I can't imagine it's easy to flip over a train.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you could scooch under it. I don't know. In the investigation into Tiffany's death, the next thing they do is they get out a bloodhound. Always a dog. They're like, okay, well, how did you get there? It is utilized to trace her scent from her residence to the location where she was struck by the train. And it does. It takes a route from her house to the place where she was hit by the train. And sniffity follows it along. This tracking occurred 4 days after her death, a little late, during which time the area had experienced 2 rainstorms that deposited approximately 4 inches of rain. Such conditions likely compromised the scent trail, raising questions about the reliability of the bloodhound's findings. Now, we've covered cases where sniffer dogs go out after the rain before, and I seem to remember that them saying, like, that doesn't kill it.
Okay. So therefore, the idea of like a car would not be, unless she does this often. Like, I just was thinking about this. Unless this is a path that she often walks.
If it is, she does it only alone.
Yeah.
And it's like a 4-mile path. It's not close. It's a long walk.
Students that we could talk to that party at that house.
Coming from the other direction.
Yeah, I know.
But, I mean, the bloodhound does, it's weird to me because we've definitely done other cases with sniffer dogs where they just stop at one point.
Sure.
Just kind of, they're like, that's all I got.
That's all. But
they don't tend to like make it up. Yeah, they go through from her house to the location.
Yeah.
The other thing I have to say is that sniffer dogs have a limit. So depending on how long they were out there, after either 3 hours or 3 miles, I don't remember which one it is, their nose is not working. So I'm hoping it's hours because it doesn't take a dog 3 hours to walk 4 miles. They can go faster than that.
No, like I said, it takes 15 minutes to walk a mile.
And dogs can be faster with their focus, but whatever. Yeah. So like, I'm just saying, again, if you're looking for holes, you can find them, but they are not necessarily there.
Okay. I would just say, so basically the idea of her getting in a car wouldn't make sense at this
Doesn't
point
to me.
because
her
dogs
scent trail was there.
Okay.
Yes, it doesn't make sense to me that would have happened. The other thing is when there is an error on the part of a dog, it's in the other direction. It is not that they traced a trail that wasn't there all the way through. It's that they veered off course or stopped being able to smell it or ended up somewhere. You wouldn't end up at the exact location, basically, is what I'm saying, by accident. If they ended up like at a lake with a duck or something, yeah, okay, they follow something else. But they got there.
Unless the train police got to them.
Train police dogs. They were on the phone.
Yeah.
Whatever. The following day, but the dogs were enough for the police. The police were like, yeah, this is it. The following day, Diane and Stephen and a team of their family members went out to the scene of Tiffany's death to investigate the surrounding area for themselves. I really kind of wish they hadn't because no one cleans that stuff up. And I cannot tell you how much it bothers me or how much I don't understand that when there is an accident like that, nobody cleans it up. It's just a bloody mess until it washes away. Yeah. So they get to the place. They can tell where she was hit because there's a giant blood spatter on the rails. So on one side, the side that she was standing on, there's a huge blood splatter. And they're like, well, that means that she died on this spot and then was thrown in front of the train because the rest of the tracks don't have blood on them. Well, to me, that's the site of impact. But then she's thrown around.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But it's graphic. Yeah. They walk around. Her mom finds like her little bracelet. There are like 10 pictures of her on her social media wearing this bracelet. It's a little beaded bracelet with like letter beads on it and stuff. And her mom finds that. It's obviously hers. Awful. They find a bunch of other things, including her jawbone.
Oh, wow.
They talk about how they had to like pick up pieces of her and put them in baggies. That should never have happened. The fact that happened is crazy to me.
So, okay, is this because, so we have the train police, and then is this because I don't know if it's Galloway or whoever, like the other police in the area, are they just not allowed to even like be over there?
It's not their jurisdiction. No, this was on the train police. The train police should have really taken care of their scene better. But I guess nobody comes out with a hose or anything or cleans. A jawbone is a large part of your skull. Your mandible is like a huge component to your head.
Yes. But then that also tells me how fast they like gathered the body to send off to get examined.
Exactly.
Like everybody was just like, this was a suicide. And
yes, so that is really exactly what happened. They were like, we know what happened the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this was not an investigation to them.
They didn't consider anything else.
And they just didn't talk to the family to even question.
Not at first. The family made themselves known, obviously. Yeah. And one would.
Okay.
And so they kind of pushed it to keep going. But I think if the family had just accepted it, they would never have done anything else. They wouldn't have sent bloodhounds out. They would have just went like, case closed, we're done. Which is also like kind of irresponsible, you guys. Come on, you can't just like go, this is my opinion, the end. Yeah. Like that's not how it works.
This is a little wild.
Finding parts of her still out on the train tracks is unconscionable. Yeah. I can't believe that happened. But if you remember, oh goodness, what is her name? The poor girl that died on the highway. And it was the same thing where they couldn't tell if it was drunk driving, suicide, or she fell asleep as somebody hit her car.
Okay.
And she was like dragged behind her car. Do you remember that?
I do.
Okay. It was truly terrible. And I'm so sorry I don't have her name. I have so many cases in my head.
Yeah.
Her parents went out to the scene and there were still like pieces of her on the road.
Oh my gosh.
This is something that happens. That's like when your house is a crime scene, like just say, it's not going to, but just say, there is a horrible murder in my house in the other room. And it's nobody we know. They just came in the house and somebody killed them because I don't want to think about that. And I'm like, oh gosh, investigate it, obviously. And the cops investigate and then they go, okay, have a nice day. And now it is my job to clean that up.
Right.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Every time that blows my mind. Every single time. They're like, well, there's crime scene cleanup. You can call them and pay them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. So they find those things. At the time, I don't think they really find much else. But it's enough for them to say, like, I don't think you really looked too hard because we found all this stuff. And that's totally fair. Yeah. They were looking for like her shoes and stuff. They're like, well, where's the rest of her stuff? Yeah. And it was not there. So they keep looking. They look in the surrounding woods a little bit. They're looking for the truth. Now, according to SouthJersey.com, quote, several weeks after Tiffany died, Diane Valente went for a walk to clear her head. She was about a mile from home when she spotted something under a tree. It was Tiffany's shoes, neatly lined up as though they had been placed there carefully, along with her headband, a keychain like those used to affix to rental cars, and a sweatshirt Valente did not recognize. Now, this is not entirely phrased accurately. So the shoes looks like she stepped out of them.
Okay.
They are like a shoulder's width apart. Looks just like she stepped out of them. Headband on the ground next to them. Not bloodied up. Clearly she didn't die in that headband. Shoes are not bloodied up. Clearly she didn't die in those shoes. I don't know what the keychain is found further off. The hoodie is, I think, found closer to the highway. It's like something that somebody like lost out of their car or something, because they can't relate it to Tiffany or anybody. It's just a hoodie.
Okay.
Maybe it's related to something. Maybe it's not. We don't know. So, and then there's like a little red letter A on the ground.
Okay.
Again, this is woods near a highway and trash blows everywhere. So some of these things might be really conspicuous and they could just be trash that blew away. We don't really know. However, her shoes and headband look like she put them there, not like...
And this is weeks
or
later?
Or somebody put them there. Let's put it that way. Somebody put them there. It's 3 weeks later.
Okay.
We assume Tiffany left them there. So Diane calls her husband, who calls the police to come and collect the evidence. The family thought they were about to get some answers, but that's not what happened. Instead, the keychain was misplaced before it could be analyzed. New Jersey Transit detectives also lost some other stuff that had been found at the scene and left the teen's shirt in a knotted plastic bag. So they did have her shirt, where it grew mold and made it completely untestable.
Oh.
Now, we also saw this kind of thing. It's so weird that it relates to Jeanette Palma's case on more than one time. They're so far apart and different things happen. But like Jeanette Palma's stuff was left to get moldy too. Like the same thing happened.
Right.
It just didn't really take care of it. If you put a wet shirt in a plastic bag and tie it in a knot, yeah, it's going to grow mold. That's how that goes. It's going to smell awful too. The items were found kind of near Tilton Road under a tree. So they're purposefully under a tree. Now, this discovery raised questions about the circumstances surrounding Tiffany's death, as it suggests the possibility that the items were deliberately placed there. We'll get into by who possibly in a few minutes. Notably, though, and this is what gets me, the bloodhounds did not lead investigators to Tiffany's missing shoes and headband, which would have smelled like her and should have been directly in her path. These items were discovered later by her mom, right?
3 weeks later. Okay.
The discrepancy between the bloodhounds trail and the location of Tiffany's belongings has contributed to the family's skepticism regarding the official ruling of suicide. They argue that the initial investigation was insufficient and that the bloodhounds' findings, given the environmental conditions and subsequent discoveries, should not have been the sole basis for concluding the case. A little weird. Okay. She has apparently walked 4 miles through the dark woods at night, taken her shoes off 3/4 of the way through, and then walked through the wooded, rough terrain the rest of the way barefoot. A lot of people think that is crazy. She's walking through the woods. And as I mentioned in the very beginning of this coverage, New Jersey is like, it's very grassy. The woods are going to be lush at this point in time. There's leaves and sticks and twigs and stuff that fall into the forest floor everywhere. And it's prickly and there's poison ivy and stuff. Like, you don't really want to walk through the woods with no shoes. But the caveat that I will give that is that if you are a beach town person, you know that people just don't fucking wear shoes.
Right.
Not in Wawa, not in ShopRite, not at the gas station. They don't wear their damn shoes ever. I don't know what they're made of.
Right.
Grosses me out. I can't imagine it.
I'm not that person.
I'm not either.
I do know people.
But there are tons of people who would not be fazed by that.
Yeah.
So whatever. And then people say like, well, why would she just take off her shoes? Some people suggest that they were brand new shoes, so they might hurt, which is true. She could have been getting a blister. Also, they were like a thick canvasy boat shoe. And if they got wet, they might not have stayed on her feet. They might have been like just coming off her feet and she might have taken them off because she couldn't keep walking on them. Which brings us to her feet, which her parents also raised issues about. One of her feet is gone. We know that. And the other one, they say, is totally clean and does not have any evidence of walking through the woods on it. I have to object. Her foot looks like it's dirty from outside and there's cuts on it. It's not black and filthy, but I don't know if you've ever walked through grass before, but it doesn't necessarily leave your feet like dark in color. I mean,
Yeah.
and if it was dewy, it was wet outside, you're not necessarily going to have like filthy feet. To me,
Right.
I can see that she could have walked barefoot, just to me. But they think that it doesn't look like that. So,
Okay.
So then we make it to her cell phone records, right? So they have like, we have other evidence. We have her phone. It's right here. We found it. What's on her phone? What did she do? So the police get into her phone. And a notable event occurred involving her cell phone at 10:39 p.m. A call was made to Tiffany's phone from her friend Jamie, and records indicate that the call was answered and lasted 24 seconds. This is 10:39, so right before Dad finds the phone. She's gone. Dad doesn't have it. There's messages from way before that. So what? This is particularly perplexing because Tiffany's phone was later found by her father, as I said, in the driveway at the end of it or whatever. The family asserts that Tiffany never went anywhere without her phone. We already covered that. Adding to the mystery, data usage logs from Tiffany's phone shows activity at 10:23 and again at 10:42, suggesting that someone was using apps on the device during that time frame. Given that Tiffany was last seen at around 9:30 p.m. and her body was discovered approximately 4 miles away, these phone activities raise questions about who had possession of her phone during that period. And it does not ping anywhere else. It stayed on property. So who was using her phone? Well, I don't know how, the way anybody who explains it says like it was a fluke. They're like, sometimes that happens. It could have been a voicemail. It could have been a butt dial. Because Jamie's like, I didn't call her. I don't know what you're talking about. They're like, but the phone was live between your two phones for 24 seconds. What happened?
Yeah.
Unless you butt dial someone and it's like the connection is a voicemail, which is possible, but they don't mention that. And the apps active in 2 other apps. That's a weird one. Apps update and do things periodically. So you can show activities in an app on a phone when you're not even using it.
Yeah.
So that does not flag for me as much as the phone call does. However, if I want to explain it, I can explain it.
Explain it.
I did. What if she butt dialed her or she had called and thought she hung up, and then it went to her voicemail. So technically the phones are connected, but she's not talking into the phone, leaving a voicemail. It's just dead air.
Okay.
I mean, they didn't find a message, but that's the only way I can really explain it. So that's as far as that goes. We never find anything else about that. I don't know what happened. So that's weird, right? And then there's the axe. I struggle to even mention this.
That's right. Yeah.
Quote, an axe with red markings. I need you guys to remember how I said that because that is what it is. An axe with red markings was found near the location where Tiffany Valante's body was discovered. The axe was collected as evidence by New Jersey Transit Police. The train police got it. And because the train police are really bad with evidence, they immediately lost it while putting it in storage.
This is so strange.
It's really wild. Can you tell the train police don't usually investigate shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. This prevented any forensic analysis that could have determined its relevance to Tiffany's death in any way, shape, or form. Now, I don't even, it has red markings on it. And I made Leslie look at the picture of this axe. We will include it in the photo suite. It does not say it had blood. It does not say there was blood around it. You can see a picture of it. That's all that remains. There is no blood on it.
Right.
The axe head is rusty as though it had been left outside, and it was found outside, so that makes sense. And the handle has white and red writing on it, and the bottom of the handle is orange. Okay.
Yeah.
I do not see any trace of blood on this axe. But because an axe was found and the coroner or the medical examiner at Shore said cutting injuries, people put 2 and 2 together. Like somebody cut her legs off with an axe.
Right.
That is not even out there that I know of, or they hit her in the back of the head with it and then they threw her. It was an axe.
Right. Also, regardless of what we can see in a picture.
Yes.
The description of this axe is again just red markings. It would have said blood.
It doesn't say a red substance. It doesn't say something resembling blood, which I have read a great many descriptions of evidence. It usually says a substance resembling blood, a red liquid, or a red substance. This says red markings.
Okay.
Not the same.
Gotcha.
But, who fucking knows? So at this point, here is the family's theory and why they want it, okay? First of all, their goal is to have her cause of death changed from suicide to undetermined.
Okay.
Fair. What they think, and Mom describes this in very vivid details in the Unsolved Mysteries thing. And again, this is one of those moments where she goes, what I think happened, what I see happening, when I think about this, I see this. The reason that is a problem is because that's just the dots her brain put together. And she could be totally right, but there's no evidence that she is. So taking that as gospel is problematic for everyone. Now, the police should have done a lot more work, but yeah. Anyway, so what she thinks is Tiffany left the house at 9:28. She walked down the driveway because she heard somebody pulling up in a car that was there to see her or pick her up. They called her and she ran down and she got in the car. In the car were friends who had malicious intent for her. They were making fun of her. They wanted to get back at her for stealing the card. And it was either that or some sort of opportunistic predator, one of the two.
Okay.
Then they drive her out into the woods, where if it's a predator, they sexually assault her. And if it's not a predator, they just start like hitting her and like hurting her or axing her, whatever. Bad things. They're doing bad things and they get carried away and they end up killing her. Then, on the line of thinking that it was some sort of, attack, her mom does describe in the Unsolved Mysteries episode, she's like, I can just see her standing in this tree, holding onto the tree while they hold her legs and they pull her off the tree and drag her into the woods. And that's why her shoes are there. That is very vivid description of an event that we don't know happened.
Yeah.
And if you're a mom and you're thinking the worst possible thing, yeah, you're going to want to be like, I have to talk about this. This is what my head is coming up with all of these horrible things. Like, please find out what happened to my daughter.
Yeah.
I get it. There's a problem with saying that in the mainstream media space because everyone is going to go, oh, yeah, that.
Yeah.
We don't know that's it,
I think I have some problems with that, but
Sure.
the main one I would say would go back to the sniffing dogs.
Yeah.
I feel like if that much of her was on a tree in that area, blood, anything.
If there was actual liquid blood,
they would have gone over there. They would have found that spot.
Yeah. I mean, it's only a mile and a half from the house.
That would be my only thing about that. And I hope that's not what happened to her.
Same. That's the darkest timeline, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, running with this theory, the family hires a lawyer, a fancy-pantsy lawyer, who then hires a woman named Louise Hausman, who is a slightly more tenured medical examiner in the state of New Jersey, to do an independent death investigation. And she is able to find all of the wording issues and loopholes that I mentioned before. She's like, I think that there is reasonable doubt. I think there is reason to explore the possibility that Tiffany Valiante was taken, that she was attacked, and that she was put on the train tracks already deceased. I think that is possible. Now, remember, this is a person hired by Tiffany's parents and her legal representation to make this report. I'm not saying that anything unethical is done whatsoever. I'm just saying that is who brought her on. So that is what she is going to look for. She is there for them to show that what they suspect is correct.
Okay.
And I think she finds enough holes in language and procedure that she can present a reasonable doubt, to be sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's up to you how much credence you want to give to any of this. All of the what ifs are what ifs that we've mentioned along the way. Mostly like the train conductors not knowing exactly what they saw. She hinges a lot on that and other evidence. So, and the fact that they didn't do a rape kit when she was brought in, the autopsy was not properly, the procedure was not correct. They could have missed a step. And you know what? They could have missed a step. They did miss a step. Why was her jawbone on the tracks?
I think that's wild. Like, if you're missing pieces of the body, why wouldn't they be going back to grab them?
Yeah. So here's what I mean. What I will say about that is I don't necessarily subscribe to these theories. I'm not saying I do or don't, but I do think they raise enough procedural issues that in a court of law, you could say there is a reasonable doubt.
Mm-hmm. Or I can understand why the family wanted to go down this.
Sure.
I mean, the second that the mom walked out there and they were picking up a jawbone, I'd be like,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Fuck yeah.
Did the medical examiner say she was missing a jawbone?
Yeah, why was that
You know
not
what I mean?
reported?
Why was that not reported? Or like, why
It just
did they
says
not go
crushing
back
injuries.
to get it? Is that part of something? Like, did they, and then did they miss other things? I could see why they would want that.
Agreed.
I can see. Yeah.
So there is another side to this coin, obviously. There are other theories as to what happened to Tiffany. Her friends saw a very different picture. Jamie, the friend with the card and the phone call, and another friend were interviewed by police. And they said Tiffany was actually a pretty depressed person. They said she was sad a lot of the time. Jamie said that she had been cutting herself.
That's pretty serious.
Yep. They also said that she came out as a lesbian recently. And though her parents, when asked by police and other people if they were okay with it, said yes, her friends say they were absolutely not okay with it and that they gave her a hard time about it. There is no evidence of that. I cannot tell you that's true or it isn't true. I can just tell you what her friends said. And they said that this was extremely difficult for Tiffany, as it would be. They also said she recently broke up with a girlfriend, like her one and only girlfriend, who cheated on her. Now, I can tell you that did happen because remember when I told you that her social media wasn't that revealing, but her Tumblr was? That's where that stuff lives. Holy shit. Her Tumblr is probably real life teen her, where it's very sexy in a lot of places. It's teens, whatever. And it's very like talking to random people about like sexy things. And then a lot of comments. And I say that I don't mean that she's doing anything illicit. She's not. She's just having a teenage time online. And then a lot of the like Tumblr allows you to ask anonymous questions. I don't love that feature, but it does. You can go on anonymous and ask or answer questions. And all of the questions to her are like, you know, Rachel cheated on you, right? What's with your ex? You know, Rachel did this. You know, she cheated on you. She cheated on you, dude.
Oh, wow.
But then like all of her Tumblr posts, like all the pictures, I mean, Tumblr was like a visual medium. I told you I wasn't on it a lot, but they're all like images that have to do with her ex leaving her and being upset or wanting to be with someone or just, they're all relationship based, all of them. And there are a few quite further back that are like, what if I wasn't here anymore?
Oh, wow.
It's only one or two.
Okay.
And they're vague. They're not direct. But there is a trail of, you know, a girl that may have been less happy than they thought. There's also the fact that her friends bring to light the fact that she had troubles with her mother. Their relationship was not as rosy as one might think. CPS had been out to their house, apparently, allegedly 3 times, confirmed 1 time. A teacher at Tiffany's school had seen like a very large bruise on her arm. And she said, you know, like, what happened to you? And she's like, oh, my mom hit me. So they called CPS. They're mandatory reporters who came out to her house and they were like, hey, what the hell, man? Your kid has a giant bruise. And she said, you hit her. And her mom said, that's right. We have been having a lot of fights recently. It has been very frustrating. And I punched her in the arm. And they said, you can't punch your kid. You both have to go to therapy. And they sent them to Atlantic Care Behavioral Health, where I have been before.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, is it better now? And they said, yes, it's better now. Her mom was like, oh, menopause. And Tiffany was like, I am fine. And Atlantic Care Behavioral Health said, good enough for me. Go home.
Okay.
They are not thorough.
So are you saying that it was just one, they just went through like one session?
No, they went through the required sessions, but that's all they have in the reports. I can only go by the reports they have.
Oh, I got you.
The reports are that they met with them. All of Tiffany's is that she was like, fine. She's fine. She's not depressed. She's perfectly fine. The only medication she takes is for acne and she doesn't need anything else. And she's happy about her future. And her mom just had a misunderstanding and it's never going to happen again.
Okay.
I will tell you that they are not a thorough practice all the time. Maybe there's different practitioners in different branches of it. I have seen them be less than thorough. So
yeah,
doesn't super surprise me. I don't know if there was cause for more investigation, but if her friends are saying she was very depressed and she had this altercation with her mother, I don't know that enough due diligence was done there. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So her friends believed that, all of her friends believed that she took her own life. They also markedly did not participate in the episode of Unsolved Mysteries. They do not participate in any media surrounding her case. They are not on podcasts. They are not in articles. Her friends are not really talking. And if you dive into like Reddit feeds, which I don't recommend you do, I have to see what people are saying. But I did trace a lot of these people back to people who actually did go to school with Tiffany. And what they say is that like between us, we all know that she died by suicide. And we can't, we're not going on another roller coaster. I'm sorry.
Okay. Wow.
Whether that's true or not, no one can say. I'm just telling you what the other side says. You know what I mean? But to this day, nobody can really piece together how and why this happened and what even the exact chain of events are that ended in Tiffany's death. Did she leave her phone behind on purpose? Did she drop it? Did somebody knock it out of her hand? We don't know. We just know that it was on the ground. Perhaps initially she just wanted to take a walk to clear her head. She walks through the golf course where her shoes, brand new shoes that don't fit very well, get wet. She goes through the woods. She's very upset. She leaves her shoes because they're uncomfortable and they won't stay on her feet. She goes down by the train and is absentmindedly walking along the tracks. She's still upset. She sees the train. She makes a very impulsive decision and that ends her life. Teens are impulsive, notoriously. They do not think death is forever. We have said this lots of times.
Yeah.
Or was she taken by a car or escorted into the woods by people who meant to do her harm? Did a predator take her and take advantage of her and take her life? Did her friends go too far? Was she killed in the woods? Was she killed up by that old house? There's no indication that she was. But, was it intentional? Was she thrown on the tracks already done or pushed in front of the train? At this point, there is no way to tell. There just isn't. Her parents are still petitioning, change.org, all of those things is there to try and change Tiffany's cause of death from suicide to undetermined. And like I said, there's a camp of people that don't want anything to do with that. So it really is like kind of what you choose to think in this situation. There are people who definitely also believe those shoes were put out there after the fact. I think because the dogs didn't find them.
Yeah.
It's definitely possible.
Also, like, after 3 weeks, like, not even being, like, moved around more. I don't know if that's usual, but, like, even, I don't know.
They were just in their spot. There's pictures. I'll post pictures.
Can't you test shoes to be, like, outside, like, what they endured for 3 weeks?
Oh, I don't know. They didn't, if you can.
I feel like they could.
They don't look super weathered. But then again, they're like water-resistant canvas shoes. They're like...
Yeah.
I have no idea. There's no mention of any of that.
Yeah.
There are people... listen, guys, I'm not saying this is anything. I think I'm just saying it exists in the world. There are people who think that her mom put them out there with her headband because she really wanted to prove that her daughter did not take her own life. She really wanted to be like, look, this proves. There are people who say that.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to encounter that theory if you're looking this up at all.
Okay, but if she did have them walking out there, how would her mom have gotten them unless she just bought it?
That is my exact... Well, and they don't look new. Like,
right.
That is my exact point. I don't... there's video of her leaving with them on her feet. But how... Where did she leave them in a bush at home? And then she walks the whole way with no shoes on? That would have been a little more significant.
There's also just like, I don't know what the situation is with like homeless people living in the woods, but like we're walking around out there just grabbing shit and moving things around. I don't know.
They were next to the train tracks and someone took them and moved. I don't know who could have done that.
Yeah.
Who was out there? Who had access to them? Where could they have been? To me, all signs point to the fact that Tiffany left them there herself.
Okay.
Because, like, otherwise, like you said, how does it make sense? Who had them all that time? Yeah. It's really weird that the dogs didn't find them. It's really weird.
I do find that really weird. Unless the other scent was really strong, but wouldn't they have gone there? Like, wouldn't they have just gone all over?
That's part of her path. So it's weird to me. I mean, that does present a significant reason to say maybe there was another person there. Because they could have put them there. Or the dogs could have followed the other person's scent at one point in time or something. It's possible. It's nothing is impossible, really.
Okay.
But you guys, I can't really give you an answer here. I can't get on board with the most dramatic narrative 100%. I can't say I I fully, fully believe that this was an act of violence on purpose by somebody else against Tiffany. Because not even all the people in her life think that.
Yeah.
But I can't say for 100% sure that it wasn't, because people who knew and loved her also do think that.
Yeah, this one's strange.
It's hard. And you also cannot discount the validity of a parent's feelings when their child dies like this.
Yeah.
What her parents needed was a thorough investigation, a solid answer, and a lot of reassurance and guidance to help them get through what they went through. And they didn't get any of that. So of course they're going to think a million other things.
Mm-hmm.
As to which one you guys think is true, that's up to you.
Whew.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
I tend to think that there was also some mental health undiagnosed issues going on.
That's what I keep thinking about. I just keep thinking about the almost like an unfortunate break of why did she steal her friend's car to go shopping? Is that even really connected? And then was that on some sort of weird path of just doing weird
out of character
things?
Because that's how a lot of those incidents begin, with just little things that are totally out of character.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
And then she snaps back to a normal, her seemingly normal self.
Mm-hmm.
And then, her mom gets her to confess about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then while she's standing there standing outside waiting for somebody for 15 minutes, 14 minutes.
Yell at you.
Is a long time.
And she waited most of the time.
She waited 14 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then who knows what she was thinking for those 14 minutes, and then decided to walk away. And I don't know that if it was a suicide, I would almost feel like it wasn't a planned thought. I don't think for 4 miles she thought about this is what I'm going to do.
I don't either at all.
I almost feel like maybe, I don't know why she did, because I don't know her, and it doesn't seem like anybody else knows why she would walk out into those woods like that.
It's not a super rational act.
Yeah, exactly.
Dark woods, nighttime, things are wet and hard to identify.
Mm-hmm.
And you're at one point you go for over a mile without shoes on.
Right.
That's not something that someone who has all of their mental faculties firing in the right order usually does.
Right.
And that is nobody's fault.
And she could have just walked. I don't know. I mean, it's I would have loved to hear her friends say oh yeah, we walked to those train tracks before. If it felt like a comfortable spot for her to go in any sense. But I don't know why. But I can almost see I feel like she randomly took the shoes off for whatever reason.
I do too.
Walked to the train tracks and then was crouching, probably, I don't know, thinking, peeing, I don't know. But then just at that second was just fuck this. And
I quite honestly,
or I don't know.
If the train engineers weren't so insistent that she leaped in front of the train, which is something that people have hotly contested. They're like, are you sure she leaped in front of the train or did she? My mind says she is totally not in her right mind. Did she trip? Train tracks are not stable. If you're walking along them and the train is coming and you go back and then you are distracted, do you trip and fall?
Mm-hmm.
That could look like you're jumping in front of it, but you don't have control over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe it was an accident.
I am of the mind that it was not an entirely intentional act. I don't think that she went out there with the intention of taking her own life. I don't think she was in a good space when she did that totally unexplainable entire thing. She left her phone, which makes no sense for somebody like her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's people say well, you're done, you leave your phone.
Yeah.
I get that. The whole thing, and people come back to those shoes all the time. Why would she just take them off and leave them there? Why did Elisa Lam take off all of her clothes, fold them neatly, put them down, and then climb into a water tower?
Right.
She took off all her clothes and folded them in the middle of a collapse. People do things you cannot explain.
Yeah. Oh.
Is that true? I don't know, but that's the theory I don't hear. That is the first thing that goes into my mind. So
yeah,
there is a memorial out by where she was hit on the tracks that has been since put up for Tiffany. If you guys want to visit it, you can. There is a change.org petition to sign to have her case reevaluated. If you guys feel strongly that it should be signed, you absolutely can go and do that. I'll make sure I put a link in the show notes to that as well. There is a Justice For page on Facebook run by her family. And there are lots of other resources that I will leave for you guys to peruse at will.
Okay.
Yeah. Toast. Oh, boy. Like everybody went through it. It's so bad.
I know. All right. Well, the obvious one to Tiffany.
Mm-hmm. And I say if I have to like pull heroes out of this situation, I will say her. In my opinion, her Uncle Michael did some real hero shit. Like he's the one that went to the tracks. He's the one that identified her body. That's extremely difficult. So, and all of her family and friends that lost someone that they loved, that was a super positive effect on. I mean, nobody has anything bad to say about her either. Like she was a very positive presence in everybody's life. So everyone just lost somebody in a blink. There was no indication. I mean, even the people that were like, yeah, she was depressed. They weren't like, I definitely knew she was going to do that. So they all lost somebody scary fast. So to them.
Okay. And we also have a new, I hate ending with this because this one's so sad.
I know.
Oh my gosh. Okay. But I don't hate it. I do like this.
I love it.
We need to cheers a new patron.
Yay!
So to our new best fiend, Jessica Carver.
Here's to Jessica.
Yes. Cheers. Toast. Thank you.
Thank you. We love you. Oh no, we don't have a tag. Hold on.
We never do.
Sometimes I do. This time, this is a lot. Oh God, this is hard. This one's really hard. It's like I don't know how it happened.
The thing is, I feel like when we started this podcast and we were like, we would be dead, the cases we were thinking about were not like this.
No, they had very definitive ends.
Yes. And these feel like I don't know, like it feels...
I don't know what the circumstances that surrounded it.
I know, but also, I mean, it feels like we're being assholes sometimes.
Sometimes it does. So we kind of have to go off on a different path.
Even if we really aren't. Like it's almost like we're just trying to be simple here.
So the reason...
And that feels like we're being an asshole.
It started with Ted Bundy because the reason our podcast is called We Would Be Dead is because
we would have been
fucking dead. If like a guy that looked like that came up to us and was like, "You're so beautiful. Would you come and help me with my boat?" I'd be like, "Yes. Where is your boat?" And then we would be dead. So like it was really seeing things through the possibility of it could be any of us.
But when it's an unsolved case.
Yep. And you don't know what really happened. How do you do it? I don't know how to do it. Wait, how can I spin this?
And if we were the medical examiner that night,
good,
we would be dead. Thank you for listening to the We Would Be Dead podcast. Hit subscribe now to never miss an episode. Rate and review our show on iTunes. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Would Be Dead Pod. And join our Facebook group to discuss the podcast and more. Wow. Aliens.
Don't even go there.